Picture this. You're stepping into this really confined corporate elevator.
Oh, I'm already stressed.
Right. You're clutching your morning coffee, which, by the way, absolutely has not kicked in yet.
Yeah.
And you are just praying, like begging the universe for a quiet, undisturbed ride up to the 9th floor.
Just 30 seconds of peace. That's all you want.
Exactly. But then, right as the doors are closing, this highly energetic, native English-speaking colleague steps in. And they are just radiating this aggressive, terrifying Monday morning optimism.
Oh, no. The worst kind of optimism.
It really is. And as those metal doors slide shut, locking you in that tiny box, they drop the ultimate social bomb. They just look at you and go, "Hey, how are you?"
Oh, man. Just the thought of that scenario makes my heart rate spike, honestly. It is the absolute definition of high-stakes, real-world social anxiety theater. You can practically feel the oxygen just leave the elevator.
It is suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome to the Play English podcast, everyone. For this third deep dive, we're grabbing our late night coffees, settling in, and going on a very specific, very necessary mission today.
Oh, I've got my coffee right here. We definitely need it for this one.
Same. So our mission is we're going to dismantle the grammar police living in your head, and we are going to permanently deactivate that "how are you" robot trap.
We have to, because the sociolinguistic and psychological research we're looking at today proves something that is just almost entirely counterintuitive.
Right.
The textbook English that we all spent years perfecting, right? Like memorizing conjugations, sweating over those endless vocabulary flashcards.
Oh, the flashcards. Brutal.
Yeah, that exact academic preparation is the exact thing turning us into mindless robots in these casual settings.
Which is wild to think about.
It really is. And more importantly, we want to look at how you can swap out all that rote memorization for some, actual street-smart, authentic human connection.
So let's unpack this elevator panic first, because the physical and mental reaction you experience in that moment is just agonizing. It's not just a slight hesitation. I actually have a very specific memory of this.
Oh, do share.
So a few years ago, I was walking into the office, completely sleep-deprived, and the CEO, someone I barely ever spoke to, by the way, held the door for me and said, "Morning, how are you doing?"
Oh, the CEO. That raises the stakes so much.
It was terrifying, and my brain didn't just pause, it suffered a full system crash. It was exactly like a computer's blue screen of death.
Yes, that is the perfect analogy for what happens neurologically. I mean, your prefrontal cortex just completely freezes under the pressure of that sudden spotlight.
Exactly. My brain instantly started running this heavy, hypercritical antivirus scan. The pronunciation police sounded this deafening alarm in my head.
Frantically searching for the right file.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of just treating it like a normal human interaction, I was digging through my mental archives for an answer that would, pass the TOEFL.
Oh, wow. The TOEFL.
You know, that grueling, standardized English test we all crammed for? I wanted a grammatically flawless, perfectly enunciated sentence, and the system just completely crashed under the weight of it all.
And the worst part is, while your brain is rebooting, your body completely betrays you.
Oh, completely.
Like your cortisol levels spike.
Yeah.
The silence in that elevator, or in your case, the doorway, stretches out, feeling like it lasts for a literal eternity.
It felt like 10 minutes.
Right. And because you're completely unable to compute the complexity of, genuine human emotion while simultaneously running a high-level grammar check, your facial muscles just lock up.
You get that smile.
Yeah, you develop that terrifyingly stiff fake smile.
Which is exactly what happened to me with the CEO. I just stared at him with this glazed look, and I violently squeezed out a flat monosyllabic "good."
Ouch.
It was so painful. And I mean, the other option people always default to is that classic, completely automated, "I am fine, thank you, and you."
Right. And then the colleague or the CEO usually just nods, looks slightly unnerved by the whole interaction, and walks away as quickly as possible.
They really do. They just flee the scene.
Yeah, that opportunity for genuine social connection just evaporates right into the fluorescent lit hallway, and you are left with this residual cringe that just haunts you for the rest of the workday.
Mm-hmm.
We have all lived through that exact sequence.
We really have. But if we dig into the psychology of why that happens, we hit a really interesting contradiction.
Go on.
Well, if you said, "I am fine, thank you," you didn't actually make a grammatical error, right? You passed the academic test. The textbook would literally give you an A+.
Sure. You passed the grammar test, but you utterly failed the emotional test. Failed the emotional test.
Exactly. This connects to a psychological phenomenon called scripted communication. and it has a direct link to what researchers call the communicative uncanny valley.
Wait, I've heard of the uncanny valley effect with AI and robotics.
Right. It's that physical revulsion we get when we see a robot or a CGI character that looks almost perfectly human, but something is just slightly off, and it creeps us out on a really primal level.
Yes, there is a linguistic equivalent to that exact visual creepiness.
Really?
Yeah. It happens when an interaction passes all the basic cognitive and grammatical tests like the words are in the right order, the tense is correct, but it fails the fundamental emotional tests of authenticity.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when you respond with a rigidly structured, perfectly enunciated, I am fine, thank you, and how are you? You plunge the interaction straight into that valley.
So you are literally creeping the other person out by being too perfect.
Precisely.
Ah.
Behavioral analysis breaks this down into a few intersecting failures, but the biggest one is called congruence failure.
Congruence failure. Okay, what does that mean in real life?
In simple terms, the content of your message just does not match your delivery. So your words are saying, I am perfectly well and polite, but your stiff body language, your panicked micro-expressions, and that flat vocal tone are screaming, I am in distress and I want to flee this elevator immediately.
That makes so much sense. It's like a subconscious alarm bell for the other person. They hear the word fine, but their instincts tell them you are absolutely terrified.
Exactly.
And part of that is because we're trying so hard to be flawless. Like, we think the grammar is the most important part of the exchange.
Sociologists actually call that over-optimization.
Over-optimization. I like that.
Yeah, in a desperate pursuit to sound grammatically correct,
Yeah.
you strip away all the natural hesitation, the slang, the slightly messy emotional texture that makes human communication actually believable.
Right. You sanitize it.
Exactly. Paradoxically, having perfect grammar and casual hallway banter destroys your credibility. It triggers a primal alarm system in the listener's brain.
Wait, really? A primal alarm?
Yeah. Early human brains evolved to spot pattern mismatches, to identify deception or threats. When someone hears a technically fluent but emotionally false response, they intuitively sense you are hiding behind a scripted facade.
And then the interaction just goes ice cold.
Precisely.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because if perfectly optimized, grammatically flawless English actually alienates people, then what is the actual goal of the greeting? Are you telling me that when someone asks, how are you, they don't actually care how I am? Because if the words are literally just an empty noise we make, why does the other person care if I just say good? If they aren't looking for a real data-driven answer, why does my robotic response make them so uncomfortable?
That is the core of the issue, and it requires us to completely reevaluate the unspoken rules of casual greetings.
Okay.
The goal of the greeting is not an exchange of data. The person asking is using a psychological tool called phatic communication.
Let's break down phatic communication into street-smart terms, because I think a lot of people, myself included, assume any sentence ending in a question mark requires a literal, factual answer.
Right. Think of phatic communication as the social glue of civilization. Anthropologists originally formulated the concept to describe speech that serves to establish or maintain social bonds rather than convey novel information.
So it's not about the facts.
Not at all. If we go all the way back to early human history, walking past another human on a path was dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Right, so you needed a vocalization, a call and a response to prove you weren't a threat.
So when a native speaker enthusiastically asks, how are you, in the break room, they are absolutely not initiating a clinical medical intake.
No. They're not asking for a fully articulated report on your physical health, your current career trajectory, or your childhood trauma.
Thank goodness.
In the high-speed rhythm of modern life, how are you is merely a melodic variation of the word hello. It's a low-stakes ritual that signals non-hostility and mutual recognition. The words themselves are just phatic tokens.
Okay, so they don't want a PowerPoint presentation on my emotional state.
Definitely not.
But to go back to my question, if it's just a melodic hello, why does saying a frozen simple good kill the vibe?
It comes down to something called an emotional prediction error.
Emotional prediction error.
Right. The person initiating the greeting throws out this phatic token, and they anticipate a casual, culturally standard, emotionally textured human response in return.
Okay.
It's like putting up your hand for a high five. You expect a high five back.
Oh, I see where this is going.
When they get a rigid textbook script instead, that frozen good, it feels like they're talking to a poorly programmed customer service chatbot. You gave them a formal handshake when they wanted a high five.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's incredibly awkward.
The mismatch is what causes the discomfort, not the lack of data.
Okay, so if our brain crashes because we're trying to process an emotional question like a complex math equation, the obvious fix is to simplify the math.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you realize the interaction is just a low-stakes ritual, a melodic noise to say, I acknowledge your existence, the pressure should completely evaporate. We don't need to run that heavy mental antivirus scan.
Right, because they aren't asking a complex question, so your brain shouldn't be trying to construct a complex sentence.
Which brings us to the actual toolkit. How do we reduce that cognitive load when we're, running on fumes and replace the robot script with something authentic?
That's the real question.
The research points to this brilliant concept called the subtractive formula. It's about reducing the cognitive effort required to speak in order to maximize the human connection.
Yes, the real human survival toolkit.
Exactly. We have a toolkit with 3 specific formulas. Let's dive into Formula A, the mastery of mundanity.
Oh, this is a great one. The mastery of mundanity is designed for the vast majority of our human existence. These are the days that are, neither euphoric nor catastrophic. They're just incredibly average.
Most days, really.
Yeah. When life is predictably mundane, replying to, "How are you?" with a wide-eyed, overly enthusiastic, "I am doing phenomenally well," actually feels incongruent. It borders on unhinged.
I mean, if it's a random Tuesday and I'm standing in line waiting for a latte, I'm not overjoyed. I'm just existing. I don't want to fake joy. So what is the alternative to the robot script here?
Native speakers frequently utilize understatement to signal comfort and baseline stability. A perfect example is the phrase, "not bad," but the key is the delivery. It needs a slight upward inflection at the end.
Let me try that, because if I just say it flat, like, not bad, it sounds like a threat, or like I'm deeply depressed.
Right, very gloomy.
But if I add that inflection, not bad, almost like a gentle sigh of relief, it completely changes the tone.
It really does. It's a master class in linguistic downtoning. You are using negative phrasing to convey a positive or neutral state.
That's so clever.
And the beauty of it is that it requires very low cognitive load. It signals to the barista or the colleague that the world is spinning normally, the baseline is stable, and there are no immediate fires to put out.
Right.
Another incredible phrase for the workplace is, "same old, same old."
Oh, I love the cultural weight behind same old, same old. It instantly communicates a shared understanding that life is repetitive.
Exactly.
It's like looking at your coworker and silently saying, we both know we are doing the exact same tasks we did yesterday. We are dealing with the same emails, and we've both accepted that.
Yes. It builds a fast, unspoken camaraderie.
Mm.
It signals that you are experiencing the standard flow of events and no further elaboration is needed. And, for those who prefer a slightly tougher approach, there is the stoic phrase, "can't complain."
Can't complain. I find that one really powerful in a corporate setting.
It really is.
Because it implicitly recognizes that complaining about minor inconveniences is pointless. It projects this very attractive aura of low-maintenance resilience.
That's a great way to put it.
You're subtly communicating, things aren't perfect, but I'm tough enough to handle it. And the best part about all of these, not bad, same old, can't complain, is that they require almost zero brain power to deploy.
And that is the whole point of the subtractive formula. You aren't translating your internal emotional state into English. You are just reacting with a culturally recognized phatic token that keeps the interaction smooth and pleasant.
Okay, but let's look at a different scenario. What about when you don't even have time to say not bad?
Like a hallway pass.
Yeah, exactly. Say you are passing someone in a hallway, walking in opposite directions. You are already late for a meeting. You have literally 1 second of overlapping physical space. This is where we deploy Formula C, the ultimate rebound strategy.
The rebound strategy is critical for high anxiety moments, or when the situational context physically prohibits any real thought or conversation. You have to treat the phatic greeting exactly like a rapid volley in a tennis match.
Or like playing hot potato with the social spotlight.
Oh, I love that analogy.
When someone lobs that tennis ball over the net and says, "How are you?" You do not catch the ball. Hold on to it, examine its fuzzy green texture, ponder its existence, and then slowly throw it back. You hit it immediately back over the net.
Exactly. Because if we look at the cognitive load of the traditional textbook response, "I'm fine, thank you, and you," your brain has to process the initial question, formulate an internal state assessment, translate that assessment into formal English, articulate it perfectly, and then append a formal inquiry of your own.
Just saying all that sounds exhausting.
It is grueling for a 1-second hallway pass. Formula C collapses the entire process into 2 words.
So instead of that whole agonizing sequence, you just volley it back. Good, you, or all right, how about you?
Yes, you fulfill the social requirement of acknowledgement, but you instantly transfer that communicative spotlight right back to the initiator.
It's genius.
It completely eliminates mental friction. It bypasses the prefrontal cortex entirely, giving you 0 brain drain, and you stop the internal blue screen before it even has a chance to start up.
Good. You, boom. The ball is back in their court, they feel acknowledged, you didn't have to think, and you can keep walking to your meeting.
Exactly.
But, formulas A and C are great for ordinary days or fast deflections. The reality of modern life is that sometimes you aren't having an ordinary day.
Very true.
Sometimes you are functioning on 3 hours of sleep, you are buried under a mountain of urgent emails, and a cheerful, "I'm fine," wouldn't just be an over-optimization, it would be a glaring, toxic lie.
And this is where we bring in the heavy hitter. Formula B, the strategic deployment of vulnerability.
Or, as the research calls it, the social death diffuser.
Yes, the social death diffuser.
So if the goal here is a strategic display of mild vulnerability, I imagine this is where people use that slightly dark, exhausted humor.
Exactly. The modern work environment is characterized by high stress, demanding schedules, and severe cognitive fatigue. Embracing Formula B means intentionally breaking the illusion of perfection.
Letting the mask slip a bit.
Right. It's allowing your conversational partner to see the messy, exhausted human being hiding behind the professional mask.
Give us some examples of how to deploy this in real life.
You deploy phrases like surviving, or tired but hanging in there, or my personal favorite when asked how I'm doing on a Monday. Living the dream, or at least the Monday version of it.
Surviving. It is just one single word, but it packs such a punch.
It really does.
If you say surviving to a native-speaking colleague on a Monday morning, 9 times out of 10, they're going to burst into genuine laughter. They are going to nod at you with this intense resonance. Why does that specific word work so well?
Because it takes that emotional prediction error we discussed earlier and flips it completely upside down.
Okay, how so?
The colleague asks, "How are you?" Fully expecting that standard, boring, fake positive script. Instead, they receive a microdose of brutal honesty. By hyperbolically equating your corporate office job with literal wilderness survival, you are puncturing the exhausting balloon of fake corporate positivity.
It's like looking at your coworker and silently communicating, look, we both know this calendar is ridiculous. I am running on fumes. You are running on fumes. But hey, we're in this trench together.
Exactly. And this leans heavily into a psychological concept known as the pratfall effect.
The pratfall effect.
Yeah, it states that people who are considered highly competent actually become more likable and more attractive to others when they make a small mistake or show a minor vulnerability.
That's fascinating.
If you're always projecting this flawless, robotic, I am fine, everything is perfect image, you become intimidating and unrelatable.
But the moment you admit you are just surviving, you show a crack in the armor.
And that tiny crack creates a massive, instantaneous bond of shared humanity. It resolves the interaction with profound relief. It proves to the other person that you are a self-aware, socially intelligent human being who understands the absurdity of the modern grind, not a programmed machine spitting out vocabulary words.
It is so liberating to realize you don't have to pretend everything is perfect all the time. You can just be tired, and communicating that tiredness actually connects you to the other person far better than flawless grammar ever could.
Absolutely. So if we look at the whole real human toolkit, you are equipped for any scenario. You have Formula A for the ordinary days, not bad. You have Formula B for the exhausted days, surviving. And you have Formula C for the pure, frictionless hallway deflections. Good, you.
Knowing these formulas changes the entire landscape of speaking a language. It means language isn't a sterile math equation where you get punished for carrying the one incorrectly.
Right.
It's not a rigid academic test where you lose points for not conjugating properly. At its core, language is a playground. It is a dynamic, living tool meant to be played with to generate warmth between imperfect people.
Beautifully said. When you remain trapped in the performative perfection of textbook English, you are actually stripping away your own humanity. You are prioritizing a flawless, invisible test score over the beautifully messy reality of human connection.
To everyone listening, we are giving you permission right now. Step away from the textbook. Give your internal automatic reply robot a much-needed day off.
Please do.
The next time you step into that elevator and the energetic colleague drops a fast-paced, "How are you?" There is absolutely no need to panic. No blue screens.
Just use the subtractive formulas. Let the cognitive load drop, be charming, be authentic, and just be delightfully real.
Before we wrap up this coffee chat, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought.
Ooh, I love a provocative thought.
We've spent a lot of time analyzing the words you use, but consider your body language for a second. What happens if the next time those elevator doors open, you pair that casual, not bad, with relaxed, dropped shoulders?
Yeah, releasing the physical stress.
Exactly. What if, instead of that stiff, terrified posture and the locked jaw, you physically let go of the tension in your chest? How much more human could that interaction become if your body actually matched the casualness of your words? I want you to play around with that this week. Just notice where you are holding tension when someone speaks to you.
That is such great advice. Dropping that physical armor changes the entire frequency of the interaction. Your body speaks just as loudly as your vocabulary.
It really does. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Make sure you subscribe to the Play English podcast and jump into the comments section below. We want to hear all about your own awkward elevator overthinking scripts. I shared my embarrassing CEO story, so we know you have your own.
We definitely want to read those. The more relatable, the better.